And welcome to Irreverent Knits. I am Tracy, owner of Low Country Shrimp and Knits, and with me is Judi, owner of Maggie Loves Yarn, and
no longer a boot wearer.
And no longer a boot wearer. She broke her foot 75 years ago. It feels like at this point. What were you, four weeks in that boot?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she had a boot the size of Egypt. And but she actually came today with 2 shoes on. It's big steps. It's really, I'm proud of you.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
I have an ankle brace on now, though.
Yes.
But if anybody's looking, I do have an umbrella stand. It's in the shape of a boot. It's going really cheap.
Mm-hmm. Really, cheap. Really like right by the front door. It's perfect. So anyway, we've had some crazy wild weather here in Bluffton. We didn't get blown away by a tornado, but boy, did it feel like it for
it came over us. It did. It came over
minutes. So I know there's been
It's pretty freaky when the weatherman says, Colonel T, Argent, Red Dam, it's headed your way. Take cover now, and that's my street.
Yes, that's
oops,
at
the end of my street is Colonel T.
Okay, that's where Judi is. So, it was a little bit precarious at times, and it kind of came. It didn't come out of nowhere per se, but it definitely came on. Stronger than they had initially thought.
Well, yeah, they had said it was going to be a severe weather watch day.
Yeah.
And we were watching, I had the news on like about 4:30, and it was
starting to come, and the skies were green. If you've ever been through a tornado, the sky's weird, and it does give you warning, but you can almost feel it. It just has a weird feeling to it.
It's weird because 95, if you've ever noticed, it's the same way in Ohio, 70 that runs right through our state, and I'm just a little bit north of it. 95 like that and 70 is kind of like a weather stopper. It's really weird. A lot of times by the time it hit 95 it dies out.
Yeah.
Same thing in Ohio. It's like south of us will get really bad weather, north won't, or vice versa. It's just like it dies out when it hits that 4-lane road.
Sure.
I don't know why. And so this time it didn't.
Yeah, normally it was like, you know what, I'm not going to take 95 today. There's always too much traffic in the south. But, it went right through it, and it was crazy. So
95
hopefully...
was closed for hours.
Yeah, so hopefully everyone is safe everywhere, because, again, a lot of wild weather in the Midwest and in the south. So we're hopefully you're all doing well. So we have been working, as always, because this is what we do for fun, because we're crazy, on a bunch of different projects. So we've got some new yarns. We want to talk today about possibly some different types of cast-ons and things like that, because we've been getting a lot of questions lately as we kind of grow as knitters here in the shop and in our community. People are trying more and more projects that scare them or are what they thought was out of their abilities, and because they've got us to kind of come in and help them fix mistakes or get advice.
Drag them right down.
We're like, come on, you can do that. Come on, just bring it in. So we are working on a bunch of different projects, and provisional cast on is something we're going to talk about today because it's really helpful in a lot of circumstances, and even almost sometimes when you think, I might not need that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some projects that we've been working on and where we are in those. We are going to venture into the world of steeking again, and a lot of new fall colors are starting to come out. So we will talk about that. So anyway, that's what's new and exciting. What are you working on there, girl?
Dagna.
So she's got Dagna. She finished all the color work.
The color work is done. Here, you can hold it up. I'm putting in the
protection. She's going to be steeking.
Here we go.
So here it is.
Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful. The work is absolutely gorgeous. So we're going to be steeking it right here. You can see that it's got the pattern break, and so she set that up so that way when she cuts it, which always seems a little bit crazy, but that there is a little bit of room so that when she's ready to...
There's a lot of fun stuff going on with Dagna because a couple things I did. If you notice, I did the center where the steek is a little different. They had me, and every designer is different. They had me do pearl. Now I've had people tell you do for the steek edges, the 7 stitches in between, or however many you want to put. And then they also tell you in color work you should do the checked.
So every other one?
I like the checked because it does give it a little more
texture.
Oomph.
Yeah.
So when I had the bands where it was just straight knitting, like a what do I call it, a break between the pattern.
Yep.
I went back to purling just to keep it strong.
Interesting.
So we'll see how that is.
Okay.
Plus I did that, and I did the provisional, and we're going to talk about all of that.
Well, and you changed the neckline a little, didn't you, too?
All I did was add the shaping, because there was no shaping, and we've decided that sweaters fit me better when there's shaping in the back. So it just added 3 on either end, and it gave me just enough oomph to come up a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And then I'll add the collar.
The ribbing. Is it ribbing on the?
It's ribbing.
Yeah. So, and this was interesting because was this supposed to be long sleeve in the beginning?
Yes.
So it's supposed to be long sleeve, and Judi wanted to make, because she's Judi, and she's never going to do the pattern exactly the time that she's, for the length that she's supposed to. So she decided she wanted to do 3/4 length sleeves, and then did a provisional cast on with this. So we're going to talk about provisional cast ons.
Yeah, because
so here is the yellow.
That doesn't come up, the sleeves don't come up to the shoulder. They come to about here, because the color work is part of the sleeve.
Because you're doing from bottom up.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure how long to make the sleeve.
Right.
So that's why I put the provisional cast on, because then I figured if I wanted to, what did I do there? If I wanted to make it longer or shorter, I could, when I took this off and put the needles back on.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided, because it came right here, I wanted it just a little bit longer. So what I did was 4 more rows and did 2 decreases.
Okay.
So it's a little tighter, and now I'm doing the ribbing. So it should hit me right about here.
Perfect.
And I think that'll be perfect.
Perfect.
So that was my, I could do this.
So with cast-ons, again, and this is something I tell all of my classes, is that there are 7,000,000 ways to do something as far as knitting is concerned. And everybody thinks their way is best, and everyone thinks their way is correct. And they're all right, okay? So you have to choose one that makes sense for you. So just for casting on, when I am just casting on a regular, hey, I'm going to start a project, I'm a long tail cast oner, because that's what I was taught, and it seems to make sense for me. It's very fast and easy, especially if you're casted on 300 stitches. You want something that's going to go rather quickly. The challenge with the long tail cast on for me is I don't pull from both ends of the skein to kind of have that going on. I just try to guess, and then there's been times I've been burned, or I've pulled so much that I'm like, oh God, do I undo this, because now I've got this waste of yarn for this project. So while I do like the long tail, and I think it's a little more universally seen for a basic cast on. Judi always mostly tends to use a knitted cast on. And why do you choose that?
Well, because I'm a self-taught knitter. I just picked up a book and said I want to teach myself how to knit, and there wasn't a lot of YouTube then. So, because this was 2004, yeah, 2004. So I'm a new knitter, and I couldn't make my fingers do it. And it was like, you could either be miserable or you can find a different cast on. So I found a different cast on, and I liked it, and it was easier, and it's a little bit slower. I have a friend who likes to sit there while we're casting on going, I'm done. And,
is that me? Is your friend me?
No. No, you don't do that. You don't do that.
I don't do that.
And it's like, well, good for you. And aren't you sweet?
I
Bless
know,
your
you're
heart.
so
Or as in the South we
sweet.
say, bless your heart. There's several things that Southern women, bless your heart,
It's not nice.
does not
That
really
is not
mean that.
mean, bless your heart.
And if a Southern woman ever says to you, oh, hell no, you better be running.
Right. True. So with the knitted cast on, as Judi says, it does take a little bit longer, but boy, does it have a beautiful edge to it.
It has a beautiful edge. I like it. I used it. I use some others though, because I do the Turkish cast on if I'm doing toe up.
Yep.
And I've done some and I've done some picot and I-cord. It depends on what your pattern's calling for and the look you want.
Right. So again, if those are things that you're interested in, and I think what we'll do is maybe start doing a few different cast-ons, just examples of that, but in shorter videos.
Because
We'll just do them in shorter
learn the
ones.
Chinese waitress.
I know, because of the great name. So I did, for this project, which we're going to talk about, how to find yarn that you love and have your yarn speak to you. So I started this one off, and I did her cast on, which is a knitted cast on here, and then Judi says to knit through the back loop on the way back, so that when you're starting, you're on the right side and it is a lot prettier than, you know, if you're kind of on the wrong side of your knitting.
Well, if you just do a knitted cast on and then start knitting, it tends to be kind of loopy.
Yep.
And if you knit through that first row, right through the back loop, it tightens it up.
Yep.
And it just does. It makes it beautiful, and it matches the stretchy cast bind off.
Oh, okay. That's true. I haven't gotten there yet with that one, but this one is pretty. But it does take a lot longer, so I'm reticent to pull this project off. So I started this project like about 20 different times because it's just not speaking to me as far as the yarn. So I started off with, I used this lace by Lang, and I had it go with Ba Yarns, this blue that I've got going on here.
It's gorgeous.
It's absolutely,
absolutely gorgeous.
It is
You've
beautiful
got
yarn.
to come in and see it in person.
It's a beautiful, beautiful yarn. And putting these together made it so soft and fluffy. But this pattern is all lace and cables. And with the lace, there is all these yarn overs. And so if you're not familiar with the yarn over, it's so much easier than it sounds, okay? It really is, you just wrap the yarn around your needle. But when you come back, when you knit through the different parts of the loop, depending on the style that you're doing, the lace, this mohair, was very stringy looking, and it kind of just hung instead of staying with the cables. It just kind of dangled in the lace.
Yeah, I never thought about that with cables.
It didn't come out the way I wanted it to. So I frogged it, but because I got wimpy, I didn't frog all the way down to the cast on because it took so long to do. So I keep using the same ribbing. And I've tried a couple different ways. And now I upped my needle size because it wasn't quite loopy enough. And now I've gone too big, I think. I just don't like how loopy it
Let me
is.
see.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah, it's too.
It's too big.
What
so
size needles?
these were, 10s are what I think I'm going to go back to. This is 11s. So I just pulled it a little
What
bit.
about 10 and a half?
I haven't tried 10 and a halves. I don't know. That's the challenge with these. And the hardest part about, I feel, lace is that you can't really see it until you block it. So
Oh boy, that's true.
and so what's happening is you go. So I've started this other project. Judi and I are doing. We're playing with Milo, which is our new yarn. It is through Manos del Uruguay, and it is a linen base. It's got, I think, 35% linen in it, and so that's great for warmer weather. It's lighter. That's why people wear linen pants in the summertime. And there is a nice softness to this. It's not so merino based that you get that kind of harshness of a wool that you can sometimes get, even superwash. So we're playing with this one. And so Judi and I each found, actually Judi found this one. And then I was like, oh yeah, we can do that pattern. And we talked about it briefly. This is from Taproot Magazine.
Comfrey.
It's called Comfrey Cowl. And so I've been doing that. And Judi found a different cowl pattern that she's doing, but she's also...
Yona or Yona? Yonah?
Yeah, Yona, I'm guessing. And so she was trying with different yarns. So we're going to talk about our experience with those types of things. But here's the deal. So here this is all lace, but right now it just looks kind of like a hot mess, like I've made some mistakes. Lacework doesn't pop until you block it because it really needs to be stretched and dry in there. So I find that challenging because at times you're looking at your pattern and you're going, is that what it's supposed to look like? Did I screw this up?
I know.
But then you look back and you're like, is this hole supposed to be here? Oh, well, it's here too, so that's clear. And it's here. All right, well, I guess that's the pattern. But when you just hold it up, you're like, this kind of looks like a big old mess.
Well, it's kind of like with this one.
So,
and we've been talking about this one.
yes. So this is my. I'm going to keep going with it because I do like I like the way it's looking. I mean, the stitches look fine, and I'm on the right size for the yarn. And I didn't do a swatch with this one because it's just a cowl and really it's just going to be a shop sample. So I didn't bother with all my different swatches.
And I, on the other hand, I think I'm going to ditch this and go with...
So Judi's doing this other cowl, all right? And you can see here the lace work has started. But it is me or you?
I know, I got a call.
Oh, okay. So this is a really interesting, and this is also by Ba Yarn. Okay,
And I love this ball.
This one's called Cityscape, and it's beautiful. And I have to say, Ba Yarn, there's just something so soft about it.
Knitting with butter.
Knitting with butter. So it is very soft. It's very squishy. I think it's it's almost too fluffy for this.
I do too. I think because you've got to be able to see that because it pulls down, and you're supposed to have almost like a thin
ladder.
Yeah, more, except instead of holes, more of a very loose ladder look.
Yeah.
And it's just not there, and I don't think it's going to be there even
here
with the blocking.
No, I don't think so too. I think the fibers are just too puffy.
And I hate that because I love that yarn. So I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go back with what you're using.
So this one's the Milo that she has here. This one is called Rainbow Trout, so it's got browns and blues and greens in it, and tans. So that's kind of what we're finding
get
out.
Ripped out.
And so sometimes the yarn, and we've spoken to this many times. Sometimes the yarn just doesn't speak to you. It's not saying, this is what I need to be, which sounds crazy until you're in the middle of it going, I love this yarn and I love this pattern, but I don't love this yarn in this pattern.
It's not what it wants to be. And eventually it'll tell you what it wants to be.
Eventually it will. But in the meanwhile, and because I'm crazy, I'm like, I want all the same lot just in case. And then I've taken it. Now I've got, 7, 8 skeins of something that I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Which is why you don't want, if you buy it at a yarn store, don't have them roll all of it. Because, wrap it into a cake if it's in a hank. Because you can't return it.
I know. I'm always amazed at people. Well, I only buy one, and then I go home.
I don't know how people
and I
do
knit
that.
it up, and I play with it, and I decide, and I'm like, life's too short.
Right? Get it all. I want it now.
Now, because I come back, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to come back, and it's going to be gone. So it's all mine. Mine.
So that's why I'm hoarding. My husband's like, why did you buy more yarn? I'm like, what? Why when you buy? I mean, duh. I mean, that's because that's what we do. So anyway, we're kind of playing with these things.
Now you did a provisional on this one.
I did a provisional on this one, and I just did
How did you do your provisional?
I just did a long tail. Okay. I didn't do anything fancy. Now there is a provisional cast on, but I didn't do it. And the reason for that is I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like figuring it all out. The reason for that is because I'm damn lazy. Okay, I went with the one I know.
Well, for a long time, I didn't do any patterns that had provisional cast-ons because it's like I can't do those.
Right.
I didn't know any. And then somebody said, "Well, what if you don't want to do that?" And somebody said, "Just knit it on with the waist yarn."
Yeah.
Cast on with your waist yarn, and then just pick it up and knit. And so that's what I do. It takes a little longer to get it out because you've got to pick, and it's in there. But it's okay. It works. And and a lot of people are like, so even if you got yarn left over, and you think you're not sure how long you want to make it if you're doing bottom up, put a provisional on it, and you can make it longer.
You can
or
always
shorter.
add,
and you can even do that with a sweater. Afterwards that you decide.
Yeah,
you can put in a lifeline,
pull all the stitches,
cut it, and
go
pick
from
it
there.
back up.
Yeah. So the provisional you'll see here is in blue, and you can see the bumps from where those were my initial cast-on stitches. And when I am done, because the cowl. And here's the knitted provisional cast on right here. And so she'll be able to pick it through. Mine will already be there. All the loops will still be there because of the state of how long tail cast on is.
So you just pull?
I just pull, and I will pick up the stitches as I pull each one, and they'll all be ready for me to continue.
And see, with knitted, you got to like a loop and then an over and a loop. So once you figure out the pattern, it doesn't take long.
Yeah. So in this case here, because the cowl will be sewn together at the end, so it makes the cowl. That's why they've chosen provisional. So don't be afraid of provisional. Just really, if you just do it with a piece of waist yarn and make sure it's the same weight as the yarn that you're using, because otherwise the loop will be either too big or too small for the needle, and you'll have to struggle with it, which I've also done. So.
A glass of wine and the phone, call us, we'll talk you through it.
Yep, a glass of wine and the phone. The glass of wine's for us, but it's fine. So those are some reasons. Lifelines too, they are, and I fought the lifeline, I did. I pretty much fight everything that they're like, it's good for you, and I'm like,
I know, that's like saying milk is good for you.
Yeah, I know. You know what, I'm fine. The way I do it is fine. So with lace work, the challenge is that when you get, because it's all patterns, right? And then if you have to pull back, what I do here on this one is every time I've done one run through the pattern, and then I'm supposed to do this one 5 times. So each time I get to the next one, I throw a lifeline through. You can see here is the lifeline, and it just kind of goes right through here. So that way, if I make a mistake and I have to frog, I know it's going to stop right where I know where the lifeline ends. And the lifeline is easy to do. In fact, some of these needles, so here I've got these, and I love these. Okay, so these I've got right here. It says exhale on it because I think I forget to breathe at times. But so this is Knitter's Pride. It is their interchangeable series, and I've become. Judi has ruined me to a lot of things. I stopped following patterns. I now am obsessed with these types of needles and interchangeables. And these are lace tips, and the lace tips are pointy. So you can see here they're a little more pointy than what you would have for a typical straight needle. Okay, so these are single point needles that I'm using on the wooden ones in here, and then just the metal points just right in there makes it so easy to knit with them.
Oh, this one.
Well, that one is too, but they're just got a little bit of finesse for me, and I like to be able to go because I'm a tight knitter. So with me, sometimes I've got my stitches really tight, so it really helps me kind of get underneath the stitches, especially if I'm doing knitting through the back loop or something. Or if you're adding stitches, make one left where you have to kind of get in underneath where it's pulled really tightly. These are terrific for that.
I think the reason why I don't gravitate towards them is that I knit close.
Okay.
And so you get constant sliding off.
Yeah.
And I do. I tend to knit really, really close.
It's also something that everyone says don't do. We knit off the tips, and yeah.
Well, I don't knit off the tip, but I'm pretty daggone close to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right on the tips because I don't like it to stretch, and then I get that loop, and it irritates me because it doesn't look.
But then that changes your tension sometimes too.
It does. So those are things
according to books.
According to books. So. So those are things that, when you're starting to play with projects, don't be afraid to frog. I mean, it sucks. Yeah, but you know what? You're still knitting. You're still doing something you enjoy.
Yep.
So while sometimes you're like, oh my God, I have to pull the whole thing apart.
This also depends on how many you cast on too.
Well, and again, that's why I keep getting lazy with this and just going down to the ribbing.
Yeah, this is 160, but I will be taking them off.
Yep,
and trying the other.
This one's 199.
I'm watching the College World Series this afternoon and this evening, so I've got all weekend.
So what was interesting about this pattern, and do you happen to have a copy of it?
I
do.
This
pattern is really cool looking, and I'll show you in a minute. But these each end. It looked like it was a different cast.
Pattern.
I thought it was part of the pattern too. But we'll show you. She told me yesterday that these edges, actually what you do is you, when you block them, you pull them out and they dry with this very pointed.
Supposedly. So that's why I don't think it would work with this, but it will with the linen in it.
So there's that. So see how these are kind of laddery? So can see, oops, I twisted it, but so those in those instances,
that's why looking at this, I don't think it would hold.
No,
but it will with this because it's got linen in
stiff.
it.
It's a little stiffer with the linen in it. So yeah, these are the two that we're working on currently. So we'll see how they're turning out. So, and again, don't be afraid to frog. So this is one I've had a couple. I haven't had a very productive few weeks getting anything finished because I keep going, let's try it this way. How about this?
Very persnickety yarns lately.
We do. And so I started this, I don't know, a while ago, and it's been in timeout. So this is the back of this sweater, and I don't love how this part came out. And I think what happened was I had to frog. I had made a mistake in my lace work, which, is kind of in this area here. It's kind of hard to see until it pops. But, and then when I put it back, I had missed a twist in the cabling, and to put back and then fix cabling I don't like it.
Unless you're Julia Clay and you just cut it.
And that also horrifies me. Yes, I tell that story. So cabling, if you're unfamiliar, it's a very simple concept. You have your stitches on, you take a few off, put them in the back or the front, and then you knit the next ones, and then you put them back on so it crosses them. And when you get to, and you're trying to get back to a piece, if you haven't put your lifeline in, trying to figure out where you are.
The only way I can do it is when I have to rip back on cabling is I literally take all those stitches off and hold them here like this, free, and they'll fall back into the order that they're supposed to be in.
Yeah.
And then I'll pick them up. Scary because if I drop it, then I'm screwed.
Well, and sometimes they just don't, because I've had some, with these, there's lace overs and cabling going on.
Yeah, when you got the yarn overs too, then you're just...
Yeah, it's a lot of crazy trying to figure out, well, this is like go here and here, and so, it just, sometimes you just have to go, you know what, this just isn't working. So this baby's getting frogged, and we're going to try it over again It's okay. We'll see where she ends up.
Yeah, you know.
It's okay. It's again, I'm still doing something that I love to do. Yeah, it's irritating, but sometimes you just have to put it aside for a little while, work on something that makes you feel good about your life.
Which is why we have 5 million projects going on. Because if that one's irritating us, we'll pick up one that gives us joy.
Yes, well, that's what these things are all about. So I know in our last video. I never know what to call it. But is it a podcast? Show. We're just going to call it our show. I had talked about this vest, and it's been the vest that was very feisty because the pattern
has been heard around the world.
This is the vest heard around the world, and it was me yelling. So if you heard that, I'm sorry. It's because the pattern was wrong, and Lane admitted it. So we can go back to past podcasts to go through all that thing. But so this one here, I kind of took the idea that was in the Lane pattern and then I morphed it into my own because it wasn't working out the way I wanted it to. And someone wants to be in our live video. Do I dare?
Sure.
All right. Well, let's view the request. It's Meadow Star Designs. Let's see if we can.
Oh.
Let's go. Are you there? I don't know how to do this. Let me see if this is how it works.
This is like me when you're on the phone and you have to put somebody on hold.
Request to join. Let's say accept. Are you there?
Oh my gosh. I didn't mean to join.
Oh, hi. How are you? Come join our party.
Oh my God.
How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Yeah.
What are you working on?
You look so pretty this morning.
Oh my. Well, let's see. I got that yarn that you sold me, and I'm working on another ranunculus.
Oh, see, ranunculus. You're all going to be the death of me with this ranunculus.
I just love it so much.
Her joy. We met Joy, a week or two ago?
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I could join a live.
We've never had anyone ask to do it, so you're our first. Welcome.
Look at us learning all this new stuff.
I know, we're so fancy. So what else is going on in your neck of the woods?
It looks like it's going to thunderstorm today, and we could totally use the rain. And I'll be headed back down next Friday, so I might pop in and see y'all.
Definitely.
Oh, she'll be on vacation, but I'll be here.
But she's having keggers, so come on in.
The party will be on.
Yeah, you'll hear the band. I mean, my shop is about this big, but you'll hear the band because they'll be out the window.
All right, cool beans.
Well, have a safe travel.
As you were, ladies. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. Thanks for joining.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
She cracks me up.
She's so cute. So anyway, so this was the pattern, and I kind of made it my own. The twist that they did in the actual pattern had a make one in the middle, so it had this kind of almost looked like a mistake. So I took that out and I did the twist a little sooner. They did it every, I think twice. I did it twice as often as the pattern called for, but I finished it. So here is the vest. It is for my daughter, who is about the size of a minute, and it is, I have to tell you, I cannot say enough about this yarn. It is Aura. Okay, it's by Lang Yarns. It's got a nice, it's really soft. You obviously can't tell in a video, but it's really soft and squishy, but it's also got this beautiful halo to it. And I kid you not when I say I frogged this thing no fewer than a dozen times. And the yarn held off. There has been yarn that I use that either pills or just after a while becomes unraveled. It just looks terrible. So sometimes when you frog it enough times, you have to cut that yarn and cut your losses on it. So this yarn is terrific because it held up through multiple froggings.
She did really.
I really did, and it fits my daughter beautifully. We haven't blocked it yet, and the reason I haven't blocked it yet is I'm lazy, and I've got it in the shop, so I've got it sitting on a mannequin because I want people to feel and see how it is before I give it to her officially. So that's what's going on there. So I really recommend this yarn if you want to play with it. We have 3 colors here at the shop. There are more on Lang's site. If there's something that you want to order, let me know, and I'll be happy to drop ship it to you. So we've got this.
Those 3 colors are gorgeous, so I imagine all of them are.
Yeah, we've got like an orangish and a blue that's really, really beautiful. The blue is almost this color. I just have it's over there. Yep. It's almost this color. It's really, really beautiful. So I can.
Cindy comes in and steals more.
Or Cindy comes in. So I can recommend this yarn. So if you need something that you want to kind of fiddle with and know that you're not going to ruin it after one shot, because mohair As soon as you knit it, it gets all tangled together, which is why it's great to keep, they use it to keep, extra bit of warmth in it. But yeah, it's a nightmare to frog. So that's what's going on with that sweater. And then I know you've been working on a few things. So we've got some new fun yarns in that I want to share with you.
Are you showing projects or?
What else were you working on for projects?
Well, the knit along every Saturday.
Yes. So we've started our Rowan. It's Rowan's project.
And I got in the best, and I should have brought it today and I forgot. I was kind of wandering around the house. I can do that now instead of clumping. And like Frankenstein. And this is the Sea Star one that we've shown you that's got the little fish and the sea star and the clams.
It's so cute.
And it is coming along very, very nicely. Crabs.
Crabs. I was like, clams. What is that? It's a little clam.
No,
did you make a mistake there? No, I made a clam.
Those are Howard Johnson's fried clams.
Yeah.
They come in clumps. So Renaissance ribbons. I went there because I try to buy really pretty ribbons.
Yeah, RenaissanceRibbons.com. Go there. It's such great stuff.
Oh, I found the prettiest one. It's in blues and greens, and it's kind of a gem jewel tone.
Oh yeah.
And it's got little seashells that go like this.
Great.
So it's gonna be perfect because I like my insides to pop. So that's how that's coming along.
I have to say,
it's a great feel.
Love this ribbing. Look at that. Isn't that fun? That is so classy.
And so tiring.
Yeah, I bet it is because it's every single one in the back.
But it's not too bad when you're doing color work because
you don't have to carry any floats because it just does its thing.
And here's the thing. The pearl was the navy and the white was, so you kept the white in this hand and then you kept purling with this and then you could just knit and flick. That's another reason why I don't use the really, really pointies because I flick, and if it's really, really pointy,
it's going to get stuck in everything.
Well, it's going to split it.
Yep. So we are using for this one, Rowan. This is Summer Light DK. It is soft.
It is really, really nice.
It is Egyptian cotton. So it is that nice, they always like, oh, get the Egyptian cotton sheets. It's so luxurious.
And remember I told you, it's really wound tightly.
So it's not
like us.
It's not not at all like us. So it's not you're not finding any issues with the ply, huh?
Well,
because it's
remember we talked about if you
where you pull on the skein.
If you're a tight knitter, you should knit from the outside because it loosens. If you're a loose knitter, you should pull from in here because it tightens. And I don't have a problem with that too much either way.
Right.
So without
I don't think you're a tight or a loose knitter. I think you're just your tension seems to be dead on. I know I'm a tight knitter, so I always pull from the outside.
Yeah, I don't. I work. This is such loose, it makes that nubby look.
That's the yarn though. That's not you. Yeah.
So without thinking, because I couldn't find the center on this one, I pulled the tan from the outside.
Which one would you, if you could choose either, what do you gravitate towards?
Well, with this yarn, the outside, because this one I was able to find, a little bit of yarn barf, the navy. So I pulled it from the center.
And you just went, bleh.
No.
Oh,
it just kept kinking.
Oh.
It would knit and it was like kink, kink, kink. You know how it kinks up?
Yeah.
It kept doing that and I kept having to go this and I didn't have to do this and I kept kinking that up and it was really, really frustrating on that ribbing. And then it dawned and so I'm looking at it and that's what it was.
Because you're pulling from the inside.
So when I went to this color, I did both from the outside. I've had no kinking. It's very smooth. The ribbing I just wanted to kill it because it took forever.
It's so pretty though.
2 stitches, kinked. 2 stitches.
That's irritating.
This did not.
Okay.
And so I found that really interesting. And if you look at it, it is a really, really tight ply.
Yeah. So are these attached? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see the blue one. So this one, again, it's a DK weight, hence the name. But you can see here that when you it's really hard to even get it to, usually if you do that, it splits your yarn easily. But this one is so tightly wound that it's not even doing it. It's hard to focus.
Yeah.
But,
it's hard to see.
It's hard to see. So that's good. That's a good thing.
So it was really interesting. And so, there are people who say you should play with that ply, but, stores don't like that. They go, oh, you should always kind of move the band and pull some out and look at it. No, lady, I will slap you if you do that because we can't get it back in.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
But you really...
We don't condone violence here.
Yeah.
We don't wake up and
but
choose
see,
violence.
Here, like even with this being on, if you had gone like this.
Yeah, you can.
And if you really understood
see.
ply,
Yeah,
which I don't always, but you could see that it's really tight. But that would not make me go, oh, then I should do it from the outside. I did not think of that.
right.
But now I will when
Yeah.
I look at stuff, and maybe I don't know. But all I know is knitting from the outside of these are much more relaxing than knitting them from the inside.
Oh, yeah.
And it just flows beautifully. So I'll be working on that here tomorrow. Come on in. On Saturdays, we're working on those.
So we have those as a knit along. I still need to get my life together. I don't know what I'm doing for my knit along. I have like 7 different things I want to do, so I haven't narrowed it down quite yet. But we do have some real fun yarn that came in. So yarn stores are starting to look at fall, even though we're rallied now, just getting the warmer summer weather, because we have to order ahead of time and people want to have fall projects and start them in the summertime.
Or like bathing suits in January.
Yeah, exactly. So, and if you're working on different types of things for the holidays, now is a great time to think, all right, well, I want to do this for gifts for the holidays because now's the time. And you can have them actually done for this coming Christmas instead of just saying some Christmas in some time zone somewhere.
You never say what year. I'm making this for Christmas, but you never say when.
We're not going to commit to that. Okay. So we've got a couple of things that came in. Now, this is a new line for me. This is from Barocco. It's called Tiramisu. And I love this because it's got this, it's 2 pieces of yarn that you're marling together. Okay, so you've got these 2 separate pieces in the skein. And the good thing about this, as I was working at first, I had done this for the lace. Okay, so I had the lace and I had my ba yarn together, and it was always getting tangled. So I'd get to a certain point and then I'd have this knot. And sometimes because the mohair likes to tangle itself, I'd have to cut it, which of course is like, and because you don't want all these knots and blah, 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 but I couldn't get it undone. So this has it done already for you, and you just knit like it's a regular piece of yarn, and it comes together. This is what it knits like. This is just
it's beautiful. It's the most beautiful piece of fabric when it knits up.
It is so soft, and it's got some. So I chose 4. I actually asked the rep. I said, just give me the 4 most popular colors. So this is one of them.
That one I think I want to do something.
This one is one of them. Barbie, you're going to get your Barbie on. This is the second one. Some darker reds and blues. I showed you my 3rd one, and
that one, I love this one.
Oh, that one's the 4th one. Yeah, so this one.
That one might be the one.
This one is really pretty. I don't tend to gravitate towards these colors because they don't look good on me. So
if you were a ginger, that would be
absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And so this is really, this would be really pretty on blondes because it's got a lot of those kind of blonde tones, and it's just a really fun yarn to play with. So we have that's in. So again, this would be something that it's thin, but it would also have a little bit of warmth to it. So this would be fun to have like cute gloves, mittens, hat. Okay, those kinds of things. Also a little light sweater.
That would be a great comfortable sweater.
It would be a great comfort. It's not a super warm sweater because it's light. It's a thinner yarn.
Hang around by the fire.
Yeah, it's really a fun yarn. So that's Tiramisu. All right, we got another lace color in. So we have this one and then the blue that I showed you earlier. So these are the color laces, but there are more. So if this is something you're interested in, is marling this with another thing that either makes that color pop. These are available and they're fun to play with. But again, get prepared because you will have to untangle them.
Put your one yarn
in one side
and one yarn here
on the other side.
Put them in a Ziploc baggies.
I did that. It liked to escape.
And it's still you gotta close it up except for one little area.
Well, see, I did that, and then my dogs think it's super fun. Look at this, and I'm like, oh god. So it's sometimes I put my kids on the hair. Good luck with that. So some other fall colors that have come out. This is also Barocco. Well, clearly my Barocco rep came in. So this is called Carousel, and it's got what do they call the zebra? What do they call the type of yarn that it's tiger. So they've got like some animal, some wild animal that it's
zebra.
I thought it was zebra. So these are the 2 colors that I went with just to see, how they do. So I want to play with them to see what they knit up like. But this is a really pretty kind of gray green, very
that's so coastal.
Yeah, it's very coastal.
So coastal.
Yep. So this one is really fun, and it is a lighter yarn as well. This is considered fine, the number 2, but
Rhode Island coastal.
It's very Rhode Island coastal. Yeah. So have your clam cakes. There you go. Make a sweater with this.
Liz.
There you go. So I got this one, and I love these colors. And I started last night just casting on to play with it. So this is Millefiori, okay, also Barocco. And the colors, these are the fall colors that they have added. So this is how it knits up. So it's got a little bit of color, but it's not going to do the pooling like sometimes happens when you've got these types of variegated colors.
Let me see. Oh, the softness on that.
It's beautiful. So there again, there's lots of colors on that one. It's called Millefiori Light. Okay.
Yeah, this one, if you don't want to play with the 2 strands like on tiramisu.
Yeah.
This one's a good substitute.
It has a nice halo to it. So
I love that.
And this is
so pretty.
Half wool, half acrylic. So so these are good. And you know what, they're coming up with a lot of machine washable things now. So I think this one was machine. Yeah, the carousel is machine washable. So this one is not. Unfortunately, things with a fuzz tend not to be machine washable. So we have those that came in. We have Dash. So this is such a fun yarn. It is chunky, it is squishy, and it has lines that kind of run through it. So when you're playing with it, all of a sudden it comes up with a pop of a line. So I'll show you our sample here that they made. This was in the white color, but what they did was it's a stockinette stitch, but when you hit the color change, they purled that. So it kind of creates, hence the reason it's called Dash. And every one of these is actually named after a different mountain range.
But
so
this,
I think that one's called Himalayas.
I have an idea for this where you don't purl the different color. You just use it as part of the fabric.
Yeah.
And I think with that gray, it's not going to pop. It's just going to give this
little bit of a.
So that's, I'm going to play with this. I'm really excited to do this, but she has.
And this one I know, I have her doing everything. So this one comes up too. It's got a little bit more. It's the same lot, but it comes up, and this one looks.
I think I'm going to take some of this home and start it.
Go for it.
Because it's baseball week.
It's baseball week, so we've got to start a baseball project. So
where's the name on it? I don't see that.
It's always numbers, and so with Barocco, it's numbers. The names are online, so
which is confusing.
It is confusing. So you can always look up both, but when you're looking at your label, okay, so you're going to have here. So here's where it says color, and so you have to kind of look for that, and then it will tell you the name. I do both on my website, so just for my own fun. My website is designed by me, so if it's insane, it's because, plant apples to get apples. So anyway, that's what's going on there. Wizard, okay, Wizard's also a really fun yarn. It's still chunky. It comes with some more yardage, but not much. So this is 262, Dash is 230. So it does give you 2 skeins, gives you a nice solid scarf, okay? So this Wizard, here's one color, here's another color. It's all turquoises, and then this third color
again for fall.
Colors. So
just gorgeous.
These are the new fall colors. Again, the Barocco line, Wizard. And those, when they knit up in a really fun way. This was called the Easy Drop Stitch Scarf, and it is really an easy drop. You're doing it going.
And you want to go the next step, do this scarf. I did, and it was so much fun.
It looks like you're doing fancy color work, and you're not. And it's this looks like you're doing all kinds of crazy lace work, but literally you're like wrap 1, 2, 3, and then you knit wrap 1, 2, and then you knit and wrap 1, and then you do the same thing back and forth, and it creates this kind of.
Yeah, because when you come to them, you don't have to figure out how to knit it. You just drop it off.
Take it off. So that's a really fun, again, easy drop stitch scarf. You can find that on Ravelry. This is a great yarn. Again, Barocco. This is my Karen came in. This is a great yarn. It's called Major. They give you some solid amount of yardage. So in this one, it is 328 yards, and it's a really good price point. So we tend to see that a lot of people knit with Major for charities. If you're making, prayer shawls, we have a lot of people here that make prayer shawls, things like that. These are good yarns. They're also machine washable. So if this is something, again, if you want to make a baby blanket or something that new mothers generally aren't going to be hand washing things, even if they might want to, your brain is just not doing that. So, so this is a nice fall color that we've got going on here. What is this one called? Oh, Greenhouse. So that's this one. So we have that going on. I got the new fall color. I love Fiber Company. Okay, it is one of my favorite.
Oh, I love Fiber.
The yarns in and of itself are amazing. They're getting much better with getting deliveries and things out in a timely manner. They went through some kind of changes of warehouse, and it was a little chaotic for a little while, but we love their stuff.
We're back.
We're back. We're back. So this is one of their fall colors. Okay, it's called Faithion. It's interesting. It's very interesting. It's part of the Ciro line. Now Ciro it's got fluffiness to it, but it's mostly on this, it's hard to explain. It's on this one piece, but the piece blends in because it's so fluffy. So you don't
I'm
really
not sold on it. I don't know why.
the color.
No, I'm just not sold on the yarn.
I love it. So I made that colorway is not for me, but
What did you make with it?
this.
This is so.
Yeah. So I made this. I don't know, last year.
Yeah.
So I made this
And that's
last
great.
year, and it's great. You can't, again, this is weighted with Ciro. This was just their, I think it's called Angelic or Ghost Tunes. I can't remember which one this one is. I think this was Ghost Tunes. So, and it looks like it's got a very white strand that holds all the fibers together, but
it's
it
heavier than I thought.
doesn't, it doesn't really show up as it really shows more gray than the white. You feel that the white's going to be very prevalent, and it's not. So I like this.
So this would probably be the navy that you would see.
Yeah.
So
So
it'd be
it's
like your timber.
yeah. I think
I
that
think
one is
you're
gonna, fluff up a little bit, and you'll see more of the fluffiness. So it's gonna feel almost like like a grandpa sweatery kind of material for this. So
Yeah,
that
because
one's,
this knit's a lot heavier than you think it's
Yeah.
going to.
yeah, it does feel like it's light, and it's small needles. So you're still, you are using little needles because it's a lightweight yarn. So we have that. We have a new easel here. Easel is so much fun. Judy, I have to have you speak to easel because I don't make socks.
That's the way it comes out. You just knit it. And it makes you feel very, very accomplished.
Yep. So here are
Fun sock.
fun socks. So we have those, and they are, they're a lot of fun. We got, this is, okay, so I know I keep talking about Road to China Light. Okay, if you want to indulge, if you are like, you know what, I want to make something for me, okay? This is, or you have someone that you love more than life itself. This is your yarn, okay? It is so soft, Road to China Light. It knits up like a dream. It is alpaca, camel, silk, and cashmere. I mean, can you have any more luxury here? And then a diamond grows off of it. I mean, that's how luxurious it is at the end. No diamonds involved though, so disclaimer. So we decided to add black. Now black is tough.
I do not like to knit with black.
Black is tough. While we love, I live in stuff that is black. It's hard to knit with because they're hard to see your stitches.
It's very hard to see your stitches.
So
it's hard to see if you've dropped one too.
Mm-hmm.
Some people knit with a white sheet over their lap so it shows.
Oh, that's a good idea. I
still don't like
devil may care. Throw it into the wind. I'll figure it out. Beautiful though, nice and shiny. It's going to make a beautiful something, whatever it is that you need to make it. I had another color.
What color did you get?
I got some blues and greens. I don't know that I pulled them. So anyway, those we've added, and we've got a couple kits because of course you want to start. So we've got these holiday stockings. So we've got these kits. This is with Rico Baby yarn. If you haven't touched Rico Baby,
It's really soft because I'm
soft.
going to do up a couple shop samples.
So these are the colors for it. So this is the one for this year.
There's enough that you can make both stockings. Excuse me.
So this is a good project.
Both stockings, so that's a good price.
That is
Right there. Especially if you have a new baby. That's just the right
so
size.
cute. That's so cute.
For
Yeah.
stocking.
And then we've got these little guys are so cute. They're called Snowfolk. Okay, so this one here, this is by Universal Yarn. They're using Uptown worsted weight, so they're a little bit bigger. So I have to make these. They say they're easy. I always feel like saying a stuffed animal is easy is kind of misleading.
You've got to be really good at your increases and decreases to make the shape.
And this has got I-cord too. I-cord's not hard, but it's just a lot.
There is a designer on Ravelry, and I can't think of her name, but I did her almost down to the legs, and then I don't know why I didn't finish it because it was going fine. Bunny, but if you look at her animals that she does, they are unbelievable.
There,
And you just want to get them.
There are so many sites, you know, so of course I'm sure, you know, we're all social media people because you're seeing me on social media, but there are so many Facebook communities that make me feel so inferior. So I'm like, I just made this.
The Fair Isle.
Oh my God.
Facebook. They'll do something like this in like 15 colors, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
I whipped this up last Tuesday.
I just used the colors in my stash. I just used the out in my stash.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so that's why I haven't been buying as much stuff like this and going more towards the solids.
Right.
Do more color work.
Right.
But it's like, oh my God, I seriously got to work on my stash.
Yeah. And
then they go, well, there's no pattern.
Right. I just love this. So I just
then
made
they do
it
that
up.
with socks. I just want to smack them.
Yeah.
It's just like, are you kidding me? No pattern?
Right. I've gone a little bit rogue, but I always steal from at least the measurements or the cast on or the decreases or something that I'm like,
I just
kind of using this.
And they're just beautiful.
Yeah.
And they're fabulous. And they're the nicest people on there because if you ask a question, they will answer it. And I was teasing the one woman, and I'll tell her your name. It's Ann Morris Evans or something like that. Her first name's Ann, and she lives up in Minnesota, either Minnesota or Wisconsin. I think Minnesota. See, I guess I really know her well. And
besties like this. You're over here though.
Oh my God, she whips out a Nordic type sweater like one a week, and they're all gorgeous. And she has this beautiful house that you would probably see in like Good Housekeeping or something.
Of course.
You know,
of course.
she's standing on her porch. It's just picture perfect. And I went, can I be your friend? And so she friended me. Okay. And so we're friends on Facebook. I know about her life. Her mom and dad are just absolutely so cute. And she makes a sweater for her all the time.
Aww.
And I'm sure she thinks, who is this crazy woman when she looks at my page? But other than that, you know, we friended each other. And she's really a cute lady. And they're really nice. They'll answer any of your questions. They'll help you. But no, dear God, it's like, I just made it up.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of, you know, it's you know, some of the challenging thing is people put, you know, a picture of what stitch is this? And then, you know, sometimes it's kind of hard. You have to really pull the stitch apart to see what the stitch is, I think.
Well, yeah. And what I really like of it is to see their colorways.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I never thought of
putting those together.
And
yeah.
then I'm in a group that's like women asking knitting questions.
Well, sometimes it can be.
I want to knit a sweater for my husband. How many stitches should I cast on?
6.
12.
12.
The answer is always 12.
12.
What size needle? I want to do a baby blanket in Angora. What size needles do I use? 12.
Yeah, it's always interesting, but yes.
Some of them are like, well, I'm just one of those that before I start something, I read everything on it and I get an understanding before I go.
Yeah.
And some people don't, they just ask.
Yeah.
What size?
Yeah. No.
How many stitches for a hat?
My challenge is I read the pattern, I go through it, and then immediately forget absolutely everything I just read. So I then go to the pattern and you're like, oh, it's over here. I'm like, I know I read it, but it didn't.
So I know you don't cook, so when you throw away the box that you cook.
Oh, yeah, no, I have to take it out of the garbage 6-7 times.
Yes, I do too.
I'm like, how long is this? What's the time? Yeah, no, I'm terrible like that. I've gotten worse with age. COVID destroyed my short-term memory is gone, and then menopause. I'm just it's a lot of fun. I'm a pile of fun over here.
They do though. They just say some things that I'm a big component of. Have a little common sense.
Well,
and I want to help
common.
these people, but they don't. The cables, middle needles.
Yeah.
They were talking about sometimes if you buy a little cheaper brand, they kink.
Yeah.
And one thing to do is hold it over a pot of steaming water, or you actually dip them in it, and it relaxes them.
Well, sure, because they're plastic.
And the one woman goes, "Oh, I understand. I just absolutely hate when I do that, and my project gets wet." I'm like, I don't think I could, you know, it's just one of those I don't know what to say. And it's like, oh dear God, honey, let me help you.
Yeah. Well, you know, we have conversations at times. My daughter she's very, very smart. And then sometimes I'm like, do you hear what you just said? Like,
I just kidnapped her this week. I've had so much fun with Lena.
Yeah. So my older daughter is very crafty.
Spirits.
You guys are. And she's very crafty and very creative. And she likes to do all kinds of things. And she's very much into, you know, a lot of the theater and dressing up and musicals and cosplays and all that. And so she's asked Judi to help her because I I don't sew, okay, at all. And I'm fine with it. I have enough on my plate. So we have a beautiful sewing machine that I'm like, here,
I got it working, and it works. In fact, it makes the best buttonholes I've ever seen on any machine. It's like, oh, good, she's gonna be able to do this. So she was really good because we talked about it, and I showed her how to play on the sewing machine, how to use it. She liked that, and then I taught her how. She really did all the work. She cut it. Good. I said, this is how you cut out. Now I'm gonna have you cut out the pattern, and we talked about the size. We did the measurement, and then I had her cut.
Yeah.
And I had to explain how you cut the notches, and she did really good with that. And then we started. So we did a prototype, just a mock-up to see if those were the size. She was so much fun, and she likes musical theater too.
Yeah.
And I was a theater major.
Yeah.
And so we talked musicals
So today I was saying, hey, listen, do you want to try to cut your fabric so that next time you go to Judy's and you're just ready to go? And she's like, well, there's not enough room, and the dog's like, well, what if we just do it in this other room? I can bring a tail. Well, I mean, Judi has these really good scissors. I mean, like all the excuses. I'm like, okay, so you just want Judi to do it? She's like, yeah. I was like, okay,
I told that to Gordon. I said, I think I've stolen Lena from Tracy. He goes, that's good, but we're not paying for her college.
That's right. So if you take one, you got to take them both. Though it's a 2-for-1 deal. There you go. Good luck. So yeah.
No, I'm really good. I think it'll go together really fast because we've got the whole month of July, and it'll go.
Well, that's
what I told her. I said, if you have to come over here with your sleeping bag,
that's fine. I don't care. Go ahead,
take
her. So this is the time for a lot of small shops that we kind of go on sales because people are like, that's too hot. Now I'll knit year round. I don't care.
Me too.
I will knit year round.
We had that discussion on Facebook the other day. Somebody says, well, now that it's too hot. And it's like, no, it's not. I knit all the time.
I knit year round. I do understand, like, I don't bring knitting to the beach. People do.
It's not people bring socks. I don't because the minute I do something
sandy. It's sand. It's too crunchy. And it's not
to the pool. I'll go to the pool and do it.
I actually don't do that either. That's my excuse to read. And because I have very little time to read these days. And that's my favorite thing on earth to do. But socks really, and that, as you just said, socks tend to be cowls, mittens, hats, things that aren't, those tend to be heavier weight for yarn. But there's all kinds of projects that you don't have to completely stop knitting. You can just shift. And that's also a good time to learn a new stitch or try out a new pattern. We had our rep yesterday came in from Knitting Fever. And he's like, oh, do I wipe my hand on this? And I had a sweater hanging in. I'm like, please don't wipe your hands on my sweater. Like, he goes, oh, I thought it was one of those towels that you make. I'm like,
we don't do that.
No. And he's like, you could knit up some washcloths. I'm like, I am not adding more to my laundry. I was like, I have enough on my plate.
How clueless are you,
I was like, what is going on here? So I was like, no, we're good. Let's just use the paper towels right there. So anyway,
but that is time to learn something new.
So it's a great time because, and some of these smaller projects, and I saw really cute made with Circolo has this cotton that's a nice heavy cotton, and some people made tea cloths, tea towels with them, face cloths.
And that is a good way to learn a new stitch.
It is.
Just do a square.
It's not a big commitment.
If you don't want it to be a washcloth, use it as a coaster.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I did that when I was president of the Sew Club because I've always had to come up with something. And so when we went back after September, I'm standing there and I said, it was the year of the eclipse. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I hope everybody tried something new this summer. And there's like, we have 800 in the group. And they're like, oh, yeah. I said, I did. I got back into scrapbooking. And they're like, oh, she's doing scrapbooking now. I went and I held up a black sheet of paper. I went, I scrapbooked the eclipse.
Here it is.
Yeah. It was so great. I planned that all summer. They died.
So Judi, during COVID, picked up her new hobby was dyeing yarn. So this is her latest colorway. Now, last time we were talking about this website. What was it called? One
iColor Palette.
One color palette. iColor
palette. Please, yeah. And we found one that said cherry blossoms. Remember? And if you were watching, I said, I think I can do that. And
So
I
here it
did.
is. So this
And
is
it's
cherry
at the
blossoms.
shop for you to buy.
Yep, it is finger and weight. So this is great for a quick little bit of color
6
work.
colors. And actually those raspberries look about the same, but they don't. One's just a little bit lighter. So if you were doing it and you put the one right after the other, oh, it would look like it fades.
Yep, so that is definitely a fun project. So those types of things are really cool. We showed this last time. So Manos de Uruguay came up with, well, you guys came up with, Judy and Arlene came up with the color work for the shop. This is specific just to Low Country Shrimp and Knits. And this is a good, fun project if you want to use these as alternating stripes. So I did one similar a little while ago. I used gray as my main color, and then I contrasted all of the different kind of ombre greens. So that would be, oh, there's a mistake. Don't look at that. So,
Isn't that amazing? Every time we hold it up for the
I'm like, oh, here it is. Here's my mistake. Don't pay any attention to it. But so that would be kind of fun with the contrasting colors.
That's a great scarf. I love stripes. Oh God, I love stripes.
I love stripes too. So those are kind of things that you could work on, and they're not super heavy. But anyway, if you need more suggestions, a Ravelry is your best friend and your worst enemy, because you can spend days. You go down the rabbit hole of Ravelry, and it's all over for that. But they're inspirational. So next week we'll be off. We will be back. Yes, 2 weeks. We'll be off for 2 weeks, but then we'll be back after that with all kinds of stories, I'm sure, and hopefully suggestions that you enjoy listening to. We thank you so much for staying with us, and make sure you subscribe and share, because again, I'm just a tiny, tiny place, and I need help getting the name out.
Yeah, and I'll start well, I'll be here Saturday, and we'll be doing the knit along. So come in if you want to knit. Even if you're not doing the knit along, you just want to come in and keep me company.
Yeah. So she'll be having a kegger. You have to buy your red cup at the door, your red solo cup.
Let's come up with something else.
You want to have
a
martini bar? Okay,
yes.
So she'll have it. You can buy your martini cup at the door.
Martini bar.
So have a great and safe, healthy week. And if you have any questions, please, we always love hearing from you. And thank you to Joy for joining us today.
You'll be off 2 weeks.
Yeah,
right?
I'm off 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
we'll be back after the 4th.
Yeah, so we'll have all kinds of some stories to regale.
Steeped,
that should be stitched
and
by them.
maybe just about done, except I'm doing some stockings for
Maybe
them.
I'll actually have some progress on something I've created instead of just frogging it constantly. But we never know.
Oh, you never know.
Just wait and see. All right, there's our cliffhanger. Will she actually accomplish something? Find out. All right, have a great week. Thank you.
Bye-bye.